Hi, I'm Doug from Dynamic Computing, and welcome to episode 166 of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. Today we're going to talk about a relatively new goodie that may catch your fancy. Now, a lot of us know that the Amiga can be networked. There's lots of solutions for it. For the big box Amigas, we've got the older cards like the A2065 or the Ariadne. ISA cards. Yes, where's your head, Douglas? Zorro cards. Or we have the more modern cards from our friend Jens at Individual Computers, the Xsurf card, which is excellent and the absolute fastest networking card I've ever seen on an Amiga. For our machines like our Amiga 600 and Amiga 1200, you can still get a PC MCIA 16-bit networking card, either hardwired, which is great, or wireless if it meets certain criteria. It's a little tough to find one that out of the box supports WPA encryption that we all use now, but there are a few of them out there that can be firmware upgraded to support it. But hardwired network through a PC MCIA card is nice and fast and very reliable. For some of our other Amigas, of course, we've got the Vampire that has a networking interface on it. We've got something like the Plip box, which plugs into the parallel port and gives us a reasonable network connection, maybe 100, 150, 200 kilobytes per second, but absolutely functional. But what about Wi-Fi for any Amiga that has a serial port? That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Well, our friends at Alinea Computer, this is them, this is the instruction manual, and I'll have all the links in the description. They're now manufacturing a little goodie called the Wodem, or wireless modem, which is this little beauty right here. She's black on the bottom, white on the top. It's just a 3D printed case. And inside you see there's a nice little Wi-Fi card in there, interface card. This will, in theory, allow any Amiga with a 6820 or better CPU, partially because TCP/IP stacks don't work well with 68,000 Amigas, any Amiga with at least a 68020 CPU to get connected to the wireless internet. Now, these are different from the really awesome wireless cards that Jim Drew sells. Here's a picture, ba-dung, right there. Those cards are awesome, but they're more similar to the wireless networking cards that are available for the Commodore 64 line. Let me show you. This is one of them from our good friends at Retro Rewind, designed for the Commodore 64. What these do, these are modem emulators, and they will allow you to use your Commodore 64 in that case, or your Amiga in Jim Drew's case, your wireless like it was a modem, not connecting you directly to the internet. You're not going to do any web browsing with his, but for using it to connect to bulletin board systems via Telnet and things like that. There's even, very possibly some options. Maybe you could use it for some FTP or something like that, but it doesn't really use the TCP/IP stack per se. It works with the Hayes modem protocol for connecting with your terminal software. That's the name I'm looking for. Now this little beauty, on the other hand, this uses SLIP technology, S-L-I-P. Basically, that's a way to kind of proxy your way through a serial connection to a device that's already connected to another network, and using SLIP, send that information to your local machine. So using the SLIP device driver, this guy will actually get you on the internet 100%. You're using iBrowse, you're using YAM mailer, you're using FTP software, you're hooking up to your local network 100% through your serial interface. Standard 25-pin serial cable. Thing will probably work with other computers too, as long as there's drivers available. Uses a standard USB, mini USB connector for power. So just link that up with a little phone charger or something like that for power. You can plug it into your laptop or whatever. Or Alinea does have a joystick to USB power adapter that you can plug in your joystick port to get power that way. This thing will work up to 115,000 baud, 115,200 I think, which sounds pretty fast in 1996. Is it fast today? We'll see. Now, some caveats about the Amiga serial ports. The Amiga does not have a dedicated UART in there, like the 16550 UARTs that the PCs used. So their serial ports need to rely on communication with the CIA chips in there to transfer data. And there have to be a lot of interrupts every time data is transferred back and forth, which means the serial port has a harder time running at the full theoretical 115,000 baud. You know, in theory, maybe it can do it. You know, if the wind is blowing from the east and you tilt your computer down at about a 60, 70 degree angle so all the bits rush that way, and you have a nice fast accelerator card, you can get up there. But you're going to need a 68020 just to hit like probably 31,000 baud reliably. You're going to need a 68030 to hit 57,000 or just slightly above there baud, and you probably need an 040 or an 060 or a PyStorm or something to really let your serial port run at the full speed. This is also a device that you can build yourself. They're dirt cheap through Alinea. I recommend just ordering one because it comes with a cute little case too. But you can build it yourself, and I'll put a link in the description to the Github that has all the support information on it and design information. Now, this will work with just about any TCP/IP stack. We're going to go through setting up on the Roadshow stack today, but it'll work with Genesis, AMI TCP/IP, and some of the others that are still out there. But I won't tell you that it's easy to set up because it's not plug and play. It's not just copy over device driver and you're happy. You have to run a script. You have to telnet into the actual device once you have it set up in order to program your SSID. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but let's walk through it step by step. We're going to be working on this today on my lovely little A600. Now, I normally have connected to my Amiga 600. I normally have my one of my CNET compatible networking cards via PCMCIA. It runs absolutely perfectly, but we don't spend enough time on this. I thought it'd be a good little machine to work on it with. Now, because it has a standard 68,000 CPU in it natively, it would not work right out of the box. So this one has the A630. It's a 40 megahertz 68030 CPU and 64 additional megs of RAM inside here. You'll see a video that I did on this little guy right up there. If we turn her around a little bit, we just hook this right up to the serial interface, plug her right in. Of course, do it with the power off. We're going to hook up the power to her right here. Spladoink. And you see it just lights up a little bit. That's it for the hardware installation. Let's talk about the software. So there's a couple of different pieces of software we're going to need to get this project done. The first that I'm going to cover is a Telnet client. Now, some of the Amiga TCP/IP stacks may include a Telnet client, in which case you'll be just fine. If you're using one that does not have one, like Roadshow that I'm using, this one called AM Telnet on AmiNet is reasonable. It's a GUI-based one. It is a shareware one. I don't even know if the guy is still around, and I don't know if you can register it, but you can use all the features for 15 minutes with the shareware version, and we're only going to use it for about 3 minutes. So this is a good one. So download amtelnet.lha and save it to whatever device you're going to use to bring it over to your Amiga, your CF card, your ADF floppy, whatever sounds good. Then we're going to go over to Terrible Fire's website. And of course, Terrible Fire, Stephen Leary, he's the one who did all the awesome work with all the Terrible Fire accelerators. I'll also have this link in the description, but these binaries are for the particular modem chipset that we have here. There's two files you want to download. cslip-sana2.lha and then install script. So you want to go to each one of these and you want to download these little puppies to your computer. Here's the little GitHub download button here. With the install script, you can actually take a look at the script here too while you download it and see exactly what it does. We're going to cover this, but I think we'll cover this on the Amiga itself. So you want to save these someplace on your computer, and then you want to transfer them over to your Amiga. Now what I did is I just put them in a folder called Wodem. Let's see if we can see it here. Yay! And so I've got my a couple of different files that I was playing with here, but AM Telnet, cslip sana2, and install script are the three that you want to bring over to your Amiga. You know, these are all small enough to fit on one ADF disk. So I think what I'll do is I'll just create an ADF disk with these three files, and I'll link to that in the description too, so you can just download them directly from my Dropbox. That will work just fine. Let's pop on over to the Amiga, take a look at what we have going on. All right, so we're back on the Amiga 600 here. Now, in my specific case, what I did is I put the files under the Wodem folder on my compact flash card through PCMCIA interface. So I've got all the files right here. Again, you can put these all on a floppy disk. You can create an ADF file and bring them over, and I will supply an ADF file with these three files on it. What you want to do is you want to move all three of these files specifically to the RAM disk, because that's how this install script is set up. So we're just going to go ahead and copy these to the RAM disk. Yippity skippity, that should take seconds. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of these files. Let's open up our CLI and let's actually read through this install script and see just what it does. So I'm going to go ahead and take this install script. We're going to take a quick peek at it on the screen here and see what this thing does. Look at this. Copyright 2028, Stephen J. Leary. The man is from the future. Now, first thing it's going to do is it's going to delete any slip.device that you have already right here. So it's going to remove that in case you have an old one. Now, it's going to go ahead, and this is why this needs to be in the RAM drive. It's going to go ahead and run LHA on that cslip-sana2.lha file, decompress that to RAM right here. Then it's going to copy slip.device over to devs networks. Okay. Now we're going to, let's see, we're going to create a folder called sana-config, sana2, in your nvark directory if it doesn't already exist. Now it's going to create an actual text file using this script right here. And so it's creating this file called sana2 slip0.config, and inside of it it's saying serial device, which is the name of our serial port, unit 0, the speed 115,200, and you'll notice it's giving it an IP address too. That is critical. Don't change that to reflect any IP address on your network. Leave that alone. Okay, now it's going to create a network device under devs net interfaces. Okay, interface equals slip, device equals slip.device, unit 0. Again, it's giving you this IP address here. Now this script should work for most of the standard Amiga TCP/IP protocols that we have. Bear in mind these next two lines. It's going to create a routes file for creating a default route of 192.168.240.1, which is great. And then it's going to create a name resolution file, and it's just going to do 8.8.8.8. If you want this to automatically use name servers on your private network too, so it can, get the names of your computers on your private network, add the name server of your private network here too. So we'd have a new line that would say echo devs. As a matter of fact, let's just do it. We're going to copy this. We're going to paste another one. And what I'm going to do is I want it to also use 192.168.12.1 right here as a name server. So it will use both of those. It'll be able to resolve the names on my private network too. We're going to go ahead and save it. Now, we go to the RAM drive. Now that we've looked to see what the file is going to do, and you see we've got this install script.txt. Just run this command, run execute install script.txt. Now remember, this is going to overwrite any files you have, like your name resolution file, your route file. So if you've already got those in Roadshow and you don't want to delete them, make a backup of them. We're going to run the script, removing the old slip device, installing slip device, slip0 config, create network interface, create route file, create name resolution file. Happy day. It did all that for you. So it's pretty straightforward as long as you put those in the proper locations. Now, just so you can see where they all went, we're going to go into devs. We're going to go into net interfaces. There's the slip file that it created. We're going to go into name resolution. Let's see if it opens automatically. Name server. Oh, look, it did not create both of the name server entries that I wanted to. It only created one. So we're going to have to tweak that script if we wanted to create both, although this would work just fine. In reality, all we have to do is add it manually. I'll just go ahead and show you how to do that. We're going to open devs, internet, name resolution. See name server 192.168.12.1. Just add another line, name server 8.8.8.8, which uses Google's name servers. You'll be fine. You can use any name server you want to. Save it and exit. Now that's great. We've created the slip.device that Roadshow can use. It's right here. We've created the routes that we need, but we have not connected the device to your wireless network. That's why we need this separate program. What you want to do is go back and check our directory here. See that amtelnet.lha? Let's decompress it. Happy days. Now let's look in the RAM drive, and we'll see it right in there. And you can install it right from here to a particular folder. Yippee skippy. And I'm going to install it somewhere else. I'm just going to install it on my Workbench drive just quickly here because I already have it installed somewhere else. And that's fine. Update library, great. And there we go. Now, we've just installed a telnet program, a GUI-based telnet program onto the Amiga because of what we need to do next. Okay, now you want to go, after we've started the network, you want to go into AM telnet. You want to do continue testing. It'll give us our 15-minute demonstration. Now we want to connect to 192.168.240.1. That is the IP address of the actual device we just installed. And we want to go to port 7777. Now when we click connect, it comes to a command line. If we try to type right now, we won't see anything because we need to put local echo on. So go up here to settings, go up to emulation tweaking, and select local echo. Now we can type set SSID and then the name of your network. Potato Wi-Fi. Now you would think you would hit enter here, but you don't. It's Control J. Huh, it hates it. Let's try it again. Set SSID Potato Wi-Fi. Control J. Okay, that time it liked it. SSID set. That's great. Now, next one is set password. Set. And you type in your specific password for your Wi-Fi. In this case, we'll say it's Atari ST is better than warts. There we go. So if that was your password, you would set that as your password. Obviously, that's not really mine. Hit Control J. It saves the password. Okay. Next command is set use underscore AP0. Set use underscore AP0. Control J. Using STA interface. We would hit save and Control J. After you do that, then you reset the device by typing in reset and hitting Control J again, and it will reset the wireless device. Now, mine's already programmed, so I'm not going to reprogram mine right here. You've now programmed the SSID and the password and telling it to use AP0 on there. Now you can exit out of AM telnet, and in theory, let's see. Show net status. Look at that, 192.168.240.2 on network interface, slip, and then 192.168.240.1, and then it has both of our domain name servers. Now you may be saying, Douglas, my network is not on 192.168.240.anything. Mine's on 10.10.1.x, whatever. Doesn't matter because we're using slip, which is kind of, sort of, you could think of it like a proxy server where it's using the actual device kind of as a proxy. But look how cool this is. My network is on 192.168.12. I'm going to ping my router. There's my router. No problem at all. Even though the device is on 240, it can see my router just fine. Now, in theory, it can also resolve names. So here's the name of my main computer, DCT1. It resolves the name of my personal computer. No problem at all. We want to go ping www.amynet.net. No problem at all. Resolves host names just fine. Believe it or not, with those somewhat convoluted steps, we have just activated our modem. And we never have to use AM telnet again unless we change our SSID, and we never have to run those scripts again. We've programmed everything here. Now, for those of you who are interested, let's take a look at where that stuff actually is. If we go and vark. All right, we're going to look here. It's created a folder called Sana2, and then run ed slip0.config. There's our configuration file that it created in that script. That's now permanent. Serial device 115.200, 192.168, 240.2. Now, if you're using a different serial device, which you can on an Amiga, you give it the alternate name here. If you want to use it at a different speed than 115.200, you put the alternate speed here. You're using it on a 68020 and it'll only work at 57,000 baud. Change it right there. Now, to be honest, will going into your prefs and going into serial and adjusting these settings do anything? Probably not. They didn't do anything for me. I went ahead and cranked mine up to the max, 31,250. Maximum buffers. Didn't make a hill of beans difference, but you can check it out yourself. So now that we are connected, all right, we're actually online using a Wi-Fi modem on here, we can go in and do anything we want to. So if we wanted to go into iBrowse, I happen to have the brand new iBrowse 3.0 here. Let's launch it and see what's up. Now we're going to use an 8-color iBrowse here. And part of the reason for that is because using a big high-resolution overscan multicolor screen slows down the serial port dramatically. So let's go ahead and use this, and we're going to go to aminet.net. And remember, this is working at only about double the speed of a 56K modem, if even that. But at 8 colors, it comes up okay. Now, on an AGA machine, it's going to have a lot more bandwidth, so you're going to be able to use higher colors. And we're going to try to download this. There we go. And it'll go to my download folder. Now, here is where you're going to see a little speed issue. This is about an 880K game, about the size of a floppy, and you're going to watch it as it downloads here. And it's not going to download it unbelievably fast. It does okay. It does, you know, it's acceptable, but nothing to write home about. And now we're at about 99%. The whole thing took a couple of minutes, not quite 2 minutes to download. I've been clocking these speeds at about 7.5 kilobytes per second, which is about right. If you figure 56K is about 5.6 kilobytes per second, and this can't quite reach the 115, 200 baud because it's an Amiga, it's right about in the middle, about 7.5K per second. Let's, just for laughs, see if we can download that any faster if we reduce the colors in our friend iBrowse here. We're going to do 2-bit planes. This is going to be really ugly. Doesn't matter with Aminet. Okay, well, that actually seems pretty zippy right now. We're going to do the Worms LHA again and see if it feels any faster to download. We're going to overwrite it. You know what? It may be a little bit faster. So I think if you're doing this on an OCS Amiga, unless you have a really fast processor, maybe taking the colors down on iBrowse is going to be a pretty dramatic speed improvement for the serial port. And basically because the Amiga is using so much of its processing power to handle that high resolution, high color screen, it's delegating less performance to the serial port. Yeah, this is definitely faster when we go with a 4-color screen. Now there are a couple of websites that are pretty useful for slower Amigas and slower internet connections. Our good friend at Action Retro, he's got 2 sites. He's got, one of them is FrogFind, which is a search engine for slower machines, search engine for vintage computers. Let's see what it says about me. Amiga Retrocast Ribbit, powered by DuckDuckGo, which in turn is basically powered by Bing. Hey, look at that. Comes up with some good stuff here. What a guy. He also has this one called, let's see, www.68k.news, which is the Google News feed, but for older retro computers. And this is actually kind of cool because you can go and get the modern news, and it's all text-based. Pretty cool, huh? Lead contamination in applesauce, possibly economically motivated. Boy, that sounds great. Now, I also use an SMB2 connection to my main computer. I call it DougShare here, and I've gone over this a little bit in some previous videos, but basically what it allows you to do, it allows you to access mapped drives on your Windows PC using SMB2 and SMB3 protocols, which the Amiga doesn't normally support, and it also allows you to access those same files on a NAS drive. Works okay, works especially well from a command prompt because opening up the window, as you can see, can take a little bit of time. So what we're going to do instead is we're just going to go to it from the command prompt. We're going to go to DougShare, and now we can do a directory and see everything that's on my shared drive on my computer. Pretty cool, huh? Now we've got a file here that we're going to try to copy over. We'll go into the Eyebrows folder, and let's copy over the Eyebrows 3 file. So we're going to do copy Eyebrows 3.0-OS 3.LHA over to RAM. Now this, I did some timings on this last night, and it seems to take about 3 minutes and 45 seconds to copy over a 1.7 megabyte file. And you'll see as it copies it over, the RAM drive will get more and more full, but it just takes a while, and I did the computation on it, and it takes about 7.5 kilobytes per second that it's transferring over. Not particularly fast. So what's my final opinion of the Wodem for the Amiga? Well, it's slow. Out of all of the devices I have to connect my Amiga to the internet, it's the slowest one. 7.5 kilobits per second. It's going to max out at 10 or 11 even under the absolute most perfect of circumstances. Where the Plitbox, you're going to get 100 kilobytes per second, you know, between maybe 70 and 100, which is a couple times faster. With a PCMCIA card, Ethernet, you're going to get, you know, 300, 400 kilobytes per second pretty easy. With a Zorro 3 networking card like the Xsurf, you're going to get almost a megabyte per second, which is pretty darn fast on an Amiga. So is it worth it, even though it's so slow? It all depends. If you just want to get another Amiga on the internet so you can maybe transfer some ADF files, maybe use you know, the software that's included with Amiga Forever for data transfer and work fine with that, do some BBSing, do, you know, not web browsing, but just some data transfer, it's okay. It's pretty cool. And it's really good for the price. It's less than 30 bucks. And you can't beat that price with a stick. So I would say it's great if you want to play around with it. It's a cool little thing if you want to play around with it. It's great if you do not have any kind of wired internet available to you where you're at and you have to go wireless. It's one of the only options available. It's great if you have a nice, really fast Amiga and you want to play around, maybe get some of the 10 kilobyte per second speeds. But there are other alternatives that are definitely faster and definitely more money too. The guys at Alinea Computer, really great guys, easy to work with, and yeah, I recommend supporting them. They're good guys. Thanks a lot to my patrons. I really appreciate that. You'll see their names scrolling across a couple of entries into Amiga Art Contest, which I promise you the 2023 version will be broadcast relatively soon as I get everything finished up. In the meantime, pop on over to patreon.com/10mark if you'd like to support the show. Thank you all so very much. So comment below about the network connection you use on your Amiga. What hardware do you use? What kind of performance do you get out of it? Are you interested in getting something that's a little slow but still pretty cool? I mean, it's faster than a 56K modem, and it's cheap, and it gets you on the internet. It's pretty cool. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Follow me on all the social medias. I'm on all of them. You'll see the links down in the description. Please subscribe. Please like. It really helps the algorithms. But until next time, this is Doug from 10 Minute Amiga Retrocast, signing out.